The ketogenic diet works. I even tried it myself. But there's a catch. So the ketogenic diet has really been quite in style for a while now. And back when it was first gaining popularity a few years ago, I was really in the trenches with crippling spinal arthritis. One of the claims of the keto diet was lowering inflammation and or pain levels, and at that, I was pretty much sold instantly. My life was basically suffering in anguish, like, all the time, so I was really desperate for anything to give me relief.
Help me!
I already felt like I had tried just about everything, so I thought, what the heck? It's just one more thing, let's commit to it. And I went through several different phases with keto. I did the dirty type of keto with lots and lots of animal fat and dairy products. And I also did the more quote-unquote clean keto with more non-starchy vegetables, more plant fats, less animal fats, and a few berries on the side. And this is actually where I felt the most benefit. And it was presumably because of the elimination of dairy products, which seemed to be a particularly potent trigger for me, and also the increasing of more antioxidant-rich foods, like the non-starchy vegetables and berries. I was even able to get back to a quite functional lifestyle, but I still felt like something was missing. I didn't feel exactly how I wanted to. Even though my pain levels were a little lower than they were before, the longer I stayed on this type of ketogenic protocol, the more I felt fatigued, and the more I just, my appetite just kind of faded away. And this wasn't a good thing. I was already really thin, and I was getting kind of really sickly looking. It was only when I found something called the Pattison program for rheumatoid arthritis that I was really able to turn my health around for the better. Essentially, it's a whole food plant-based diet, elimination type protocol with a few other modifications as well as other lifestyle practices. And now, most of the time, I feel incredible, and even my quote-unquote bad days, they're still pretty darn decent. There's no competition. I feel way better now than I ever did on ketogenic, even though I got some benefit out of it. And just a side note here, if you have any type of arthritic condition, then I highly recommend the Pattison program. It's really great. So here's the thing, I could have just stopped at the great benefits I got from the keto diet and just called it good. But I am so glad that I didn't stop there, because that would have just been selling myself short. The keto diet, like most diets, works, and it works really well. But the catch is, the long-term health and environmental ramifications, they're worrying to say the least. Also, a whole food plant-based lifestyle just does the same jobs better without near as much risk. For example, in this study, the Broad study, they had people eat unlimited amounts of whole plant foods and did not mandate exercise. What they found was the greatest sustained weight loss at 6 and 12 months than any other study of its kind. Amazing! If our only criteria for evaluating something is that it works, then that can lead us into some pretty sticky situations. For example, the ketogenic diet can work for weight loss. But do you know what works even better? Meth. Does that make it a good thing? No! But hey, it works. I bet you'll never see a fat meth user. Hey man, your figure's looking nice and slim. What you been doing? What? Meth? I mean exercise. Yeah, exercise, yeah. Wait a minute. You've been doing meth, haven't you? Yeah, but I've got a problem, man. You know, man, I've actually been trying to lose some weight for a while now. Do you mind hitting me up with some of that? Just because something works for one thing isn't necessarily a good reason to start promoting it, and it certainly doesn't automatically make it healthy. There are healthy ways to lose weight, like choosing a lifestyle that includes more fruits and veggies, but there's also bad ways to lose weight, like methamphetamines. Our goal shouldn't be just to improve one marker of our health. Our goal should be able to live as well as possible without mortgaging our health in the process. And on top of all this, some of these claims that keto people make are just ridiculous. But I really don't think it's their fault. I really just think they need a little bit more fiber in their diet because, they're pretty full of it. Think about that for a second. Whenever I was on a ketogenic protocol, I remember eating meals that were literally just doused in coconut oil and ghee, which is a clarified butter, and thinking that was doing my long-term health good, and it was lowering my risk of heart disease. I thought I was doing myself all this good. And while I did feel some initial benefit, the feeling of chronically being in ketosis was just wearing me down, man. And it really makes sense. Ketogenic diets have been shown through scores and scores of medical research to have many documented adverse events. Not just side effects, but actual adverse bad things happening. I mean, just take a look at this list. All this talk, and that's not even mentioning about how a low-carb diet can increase your risk of all-cause mortality. That's something you definitely don't want. Another thing that happens on a ketogenic diet is your appetite gets suppressed, but this was not a good thing. I got really thin. Not like, oh man, you're looking lean kind of thin. I mean like, oh dude, you don't look so good kind of thin. And you can't just tell me, oh, I was doing it wrong or something. I was really trying to cram the most calorie-dense foods I knew down my throat as much as I possibly could without like throwing up. I seriously remember eating spoonfuls of coconut oil straight from the jar. Okay, now to be fair, I didn't do that all the time. I really don't think that would have been doing me the best, but I was really just trying to keep the weight on and I couldn't. But none of this actually mattered to me at that point. All I was trying to do was actually just heal my gut and recover from my autoimmunity. That was my main goal. And on keto, my digestion didn't get much better. It didn't matter how many plant fats I added in, it didn't matter how many non-starchy vegetables I ate, it didn't matter how many antioxidant-rich foods, it didn't matter how many animal products I ate, it didn't matter how much saturated fat I did or didn't eat, I did it all. It didn't help my digestion. And now that I look back on this, knowing a lot more about physiology, the good gut bacteria in your small intestine actually feed mostly on fiber and resistant starch, of which I was both eating pretty small amounts. So get this, then when I went whole food plant-based on the Pattison program, it felt like it was almost like assaulting my digestive system. And at this point, all you keto bros are probably like, huh, see, it's all the fiber, it's hurting you. But here's the thing, the Pattison program had already kind of addressed this. I already knew that my gut bacteria were kind of just not designed for a whole food plant-based diet. All I had to do was lower the fiber intake and ramp it up slowly over time. And now I have no problem eating upwards of 100 grams of fiber a day. Plus, my digestion is, it's pretty fantastic. I won't elaborate on the details, but I think you get what I mean. So here's the thing, keto really does work. But ultimately, it's just putting a band-aid on situations that could be solved better by other means. For example, I've met several people on keto claiming that they have reversed their diabetes, even though they can't consume perfectly healthy carbohydrates, whole food carbohydrates, like sweet potatoes and beans without spiking their blood sugar. How could you possibly claim to have reversed the diabetes just because you have good blood sugar levels because you're eating nothing that turns into sugar, aka carbohydrates? But you didn't increase your insulin sensitivity, which is actually the problem in the first place. If you had truly reversed your diabetes, you should be able to consume these healthy whole food carbohydrates just like a normal person would without any adverse blood sugar reactions.
Honey, our landlord's been threatening to take the house away. Have you been paying the bills?
What? No, I just ripped them up. I don't have to pay him if they're in the trash. Billy told me so.
What? You can't just cover up our problems, Bill. We're going into foreclosure. Foreclosure!
Oh, honey, that's an easy fix.
On the other hand, we have epidemiology, mechanistic data, and controlled trials showing that a whole food plant-based diet doesn't just reduce your risk of diabetes, but can also reverse it. And I don't have time to go into all of this in detail in this video, but it's the same with our number one killer, heart disease. It's also the same case for certain types of cancers, autoimmune conditions, and other chronic conditions that we suffer from in this country. The ketogenic diet can help these things, but the catch is, it doesn't usually solve the problem. And even if it did, the long-term health and environmental ramifications are not worth it. I did low-carb / ketogenic protocols for years, and while it might be much better than the standard American diet, so you will feel many benefits, it's not going to rid you of all your problems. And if you take my word for it, a whole food plant-based diet basically saved my life. And it could very well save yours too. Alright, so that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you got any value out of this video, please consider adding value back to my channel by liking, commenting, and hitting that subscribe button, as well as the bell icon next to it. That really helps my channel out. Alright, and with that, I'll see you guys soon, and God bless.